On today's episode of Unusual RuneScape Moneymakers, we discover a method that can test for the #1 spot on the leaderboard, and we test out some other methods that you would never expect to make you so much GP. New methods to make unusual money are still being discovered, even after testing over 120 of them and ranking them on the unusual money-making leaderboards. So, let's get into it. Deep in the jungle of the Talati rainforest lies a brand new boss, one that only RuneScape's best players have a chance of taking down. It's called the Gemstone Crab, and honestly, anyone can kill it. The Gemstone Crab was added to the game very recently with the Varlamore Part 3 update, which introduces an entire new giant area to Varlamore. One of the additions was this boss, the Gemstone Crab. If you like AFKing and gaining XP, this is the boss for you. It's a group boss, which means other players will be attacking it alongside you, but it doesn't have a health bar. It's effectively immortal. This boss health bar you see appear is actually not a health bar, but rather the amount of time left until it digs to a new location. This is about once every 10 minutes, which means if you click on the boss, you don't have to click again for 10 minutes, and you gain XP the entire time. This is kind of like shooting stars, but for combat. Because this is such an amazing, lazy way to train, a lot of people are AFKing here, which means there's been a rise in players purchasing combat equipment, in particular, bolts and arrows. A very popular weapon to train with is the bone crossbow. It's easy for Ironmen and main accounts to get their hands on, and the bolts are incredibly cheap. If you buy them from Nardok's Bones weapon shop in the Lumbridge Caves, they only cost 3 GP each. But as you know, RuneScape players, including myself, are lazy and we like buying things from the Grand Exchange. With the recent massive surge in people wanting to buy bone bolts, the price is sitting at around 10 to 12 GP per bolt on the Grand Exchange. That means that for every bolt we purchase from Nardok, we're making around 6 to 9 GP. Nice. That might not seem like a lot, but you have to remember that we can buy the bolts in bulk and we can buy them fast. Nardok stocks 80 bone bolt packs. Each pack gives you 100 bone bolts, so we're able to buy thousands of bone bolts in seconds. Now the price of the bolt packs does go up every time you buy them, but I found that buying 2 full inventories of bolt packs per world, opening them, and then hopping meant that I was still profiting every time. The best thing about this method is that you never have to bank. Since the bone bolts stack, you can stay here at Nardok's shop the entire time, buying as many bone bolts as you'd like. The profit potential on this method has the opportunity to be astronomically high. This is essentially just a hop and shot method. There really isn't much to it, just lots of hopping worlds and opening the packs. Not the most stimulating moneymaker, but when you see the profit that we're going to make, I don't think you'd mind doing this either. The one small caveat to this method is that you have to complete the quest The Lost Tribe to access this shop, though the quest has very low requirements and is very easy to complete. You also need a decent amount of GP to start, around 5 million to be safe. So I hop and shop bone bolts for 1 hour, and I ended up with 706,400 bone bolts, which means I opened 7,064 bone bolt packs. In total, it cost me 3.7 million GP. Around 4 million bone bolts are traded per day, so the bolts are actually going to sell in a reasonable amount of time, even though we have so many. As you know, I'm all about profiting as much as possible, so while I could insta-sell the bolts for around 9 to 10 GP, I'm going to list them for 12 GP since quite a few people still buy them at that price, though it just takes a bit longer to sell. So I listed them all for 12 GP, and in under 12 hours, all of them sold for a little under 8.5 million GP. So subtract the original cost of 3.7 million, and we're looking at a final profit of 4.8 million GP. Almost 5 million GP an hour buying bone bolts, an item with very low requirements to get to and buy. The 4.8 million GP almost takes the #1 spot on the leaderboard, but to be honest, I see this method as way more consistent and reliable than the limestone method, since that method was kind of a one and done method. This could be viable for a long time. Even if the bolt prices go down to 9 GP, you'd still be looking at around 2.6 million profit per hour. Super good. So if you're someone who needs a bit of a GP boost and you've got a couple million GP laying around, this method could double the amount you have. One of the best we've ever tested. I've partnered with Geology for today's video to bring you a great deal on something all of you should be doing, taking care of your skin. It will keep you looking younger for longer. And with my code getting you 100% off, now is the time to try Geology. Geology makes it incredibly easy to help you get started using their 41-time award-winning products. The products only have a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that give you real results. In my early 20s, my skin was a mess. Redness, acne, bumpy, I hated it. But getting into a simple routine of washing and moisturizing my face made a huge difference, and now I'm so happy with the improvement, and Geology is a big reason for that. I wash my face in the morning and at night with their everyday face wash, and I use their moisturizing morning and night cream as well as a dark circle formula eye cream. Geology's products will not only help make your skin look better, but it will prevent issues like breakouts, oiliness, wrinkles, and redness. I love that it's so personalized. All you have to do is take a 60-second diagnostic quiz, tell them about your skin and goals, and their team of dermatologists will design a personalized routine that's just for you that's shipped directly to your door. With over 10,000 5-star reviews, I'm not alone in loving Geology. If you use my code SoupRS100, you'll get 100% off your personalized skincare trial set. Plus, you get a free gift and up to 50% off add-ons. That is a deal and a half. So if you'd like to support me and support your skin, check out Geology using my link in the description. The Fortis Coliseum is one of Runescape's hardest PvM challenges, but is incredibly lucrative. If you can consistently get to wave 12 and kill Soul Heredit, you're looking at around 10 million GP an hour. Unfortunately, completing wave 12 is hard, even for experienced players at times. But you know what isn't hard to get to and is really easy to complete? Wave 1. You are guaranteed to receive 80 Sunfire Splinters every time you complete the first wave of the Coliseum. That's about 19,000 GP. If you're efficient, you can finish wave 1 in about 20 to 30 seconds depending on your RNG. So if we can efficiently farm wave 1 over and over and over, we actually might be able to make a respectable amount of GP in an hour. Let's test. Wave 1 of the Coliseum spawns 4 NPCs right off the bat. They're called the Fremenic Reinforcements, and they include a melee, range, and mage Fremenic, and a serpent shaman who attacks with mage. My goal is to kill them all as fast as possible before another potential NPC spawns, a jaguar warrior who attacks with melee. In order to do this efficiently, I can never let the jaguar warrior spawn, so I have to kill the Fremenics and the serpent as fast as possible, which is pretty easy to do with the right gear. While the gear I'm using may not be perfect, it gets the job done. Before heading in, I take a sip of a range potion and a super combat potion. Boosted stats always help. Each wave in the Coliseum makes you select a modifier, but since we're only farming wave 1, the modifier really doesn't matter, so you can choose anything. I just choose Blasphemy. When the Fremenics spawn, I instantly tag the warrior with my mage weapon, my Temecan Shadow, and run over to the serpent shaman. I attack the meleer one more time to finish him off, and then I swap to my Venator bow and finish off the major. He's called the Seer. The most important weapon is the Venator bow. I can use its unique perk of hitting multiple enemies at once to kill everything faster. Once the mage is gone, I quickly finish off the ranger with my SGS, which only leaves the shaman, who I can also quickly kill with my twisted bow. Since I'm using range the most, the gear I'm wearing is mainly ranged focus, but I have a couple of switches in my inventory for melee attacks as well. With this setup, I'm consistently able to finish wave 1 before the jaguar warrior spawns, which is about 30 seconds. Then the wave ends and I can claim my loot. Just like that, we have claimed 80 Sunfire Splinters and I can leave and restart the entire wave. The great thing is that when you leave the Coliseum, everything gets replenished. Health, prayer, special attack, so I can just go right back in. About halfway through, I realized that I could speed things up even more by bringing Dragon Claws and using my special attack to kill the shaman even faster. With this setup, I was consistently doing 20 to 25 second kills. My fastest wave was 19 seconds. There are multiple ways to farm wave 1, some slower, some faster. You don't have to do this with max gear. This is just the setup that I was the most comfortable with and got the most used to over the course of the hour. Now, while you only get Sunfire Splinters every time for completing wave 1, completing wave 2 does mix up the potential loot a bit. Here is all the potential loot for completing the second wave. Most of it isn't worth it because the money you'd make would not be worth the extra time it takes to complete the second wave, except for the 4 rune kite shields drop. That's worth 127k. That is worth the extra time since that's equal to doing around 6.5 wave 1s. So every time I went to claim the loot for wave 1 and saw that rune kite shields were being offered for completing wave 2, I would go ahead and complete that wave as well. Luckily, if you do wave 2 correctly, you shouldn't take too much damage, so you should still be fine supply-wise. So that's the method. Farm wave 1 for Sunfire Splinters, and if rune kite shields pop up as a potential loot for wave 2, complete that wave as well. After 1 hour, I had completed 55 wave 1s and 4 wave 2s, which got me 4,400 Sunfire Splinters and 16 rune kite shields. That loot all sold for a little over 1.5 million GP. I did also keep track of exactly how many supplies I used as well, that being shadow charges, dragon arrows, dragon darts, and scales, as well as super combat and ranging doses. All of those supplies added up to 488k, so subtract that from the 1.5 million and we're looking at 1,050,000 GP after 1 hour of farming wave 1 and occasionally wave 2 at the Fortis Coliseum. A pretty interesting method, not the best GP per hour we've ever tested, but I actually really enjoyed it. I've got a goal of hitting 450,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and have 100 years of amazing money-making RNG. In fact, when I subscribed to this channel, this is what happened to me 4 minutes later. No way. No way. No way. No way. No way. No way. Subscribing made me 580 million GP. Honestly, what are you waiting for? Butterflies on RuneScape are one of those things where everyone knows they exist, but most players don't know what they exist for. They're actually pretty useful. They can act as a food source, a way to regenerate prayer, a way to boost combat stats. In fact, recently, a lot of players, Iron Men especially, use moonlight moths as a way to restore their prayer, since the moths are much easier to obtain than making your own prayer pots. Today, we're going to focus on one butterfly in particular, the Snowy Knight. Snowy Knights can restore 15 hit points. That's more than a lobster or a swordfish, and only one less than a monkfish and a potato with cheese. If you catch a Snowy Knight, you can sell it for around 2,000 GP, and they're super easy to catch. First things first, you need a bunch of butterfly jars. You could purchase them from the Grand Exchange, but I purchased them from the Hunter Guild in Varlamore. The shop there sells the jars for 1 GP compared to the 70 GP each on the Grand Exchange. That right there is already an absurd moneymaker on its own. With our butterfly jars ready to go and our trusty magic butterfly net equipped, it's time to farm some Snowy Knights. They can be found in multiple locations throughout the game. Most people would get them in the Polar Hunter area northeast of Relica, but I'm actually going to farm them in a brand new area. It's called Mons Gratia, and it can be found in the northwest part of Varlamore. To get there, I used a Pendant of the Eights. The Dark Frost teleport on there puts me in clicking distance of the butterflies. It's a 10-second run to get there, so not too far away. Butterflies are notorious for being hard to see and even harder to click, so to make my life a bit easier, I tagged all the Snowy Knights and gave them a red outline to make the process of catching them just a bit easier. There's a nice little section right here where 2 Snowy Knights spawn right next to each other, so I barely even have to run around because by the time I catch one, the other one has already respawned and I can just run back and forth between the two. These only require 3,500 to catch and give 4,400 XP. I was trying to figure out why they're selling for so much, but I honestly am not totally sure. One cool perk is that if you use these in a multi-combat area and other players in that area have Accept 8 on, they can receive healing as well. I'm not sure if that's the reason for why they're so expensive, but if you happen to know why, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. After 1 hour, I had caught 705 Snowy Knights. I listed them on the Grand Exchange for 2k each, and after around 2 hours, they all sold for a total of a little less than 1.4 million GP. Another method that makes you over a million GP, and a fairly relaxed one at that. I just always love when items that have been in the game for decades can still make you so much money. Yes, the 2000s was decades ago. I know. I'm sorry for making all of you feel old. I do too. Speaking of old and unusual, have any of you ever chomped down on some giant frog legs? Nope, not toad legs, frog legs. This item can be received as a 1 and 2 drop from level 99 giant frogs. They heal a whopping 6 hit points. They also have a couple of other unusual things about them. Pudo and the Grand Tree will buy them for 1000 GP. When used with a raw cave eel on the life altar in the Tower of Life, it will spawn a frog eel, which when killed gives 5 to 10 raw cave eel. For some reason though, whether it's because of the Tower of Life or maybe because it's just a popular collector's item, these giant frog legs go for over 4,000 GP each on the Grand Exchange. And since their drop rate is 1 and 2, they're very easy to obtain. All you have to do is find a spot with some level 99 giant frogs. The Lumbered Swamp Caves are the most popular place to find them, in particular this nice little spawn of 3 in the southern part of the dungeon. By teleporting to Tears of Guthics, you can just run north and enter into the Lumbered Swamp Caves, which will put you right next to the 3 level 99 giant frogs. Taking this route means you don't have to run through the entire Lumbered Swamp Caves and have to deal with the annoying wall beasts. The method is very simple. Just kill the giant frogs and loot their legs. I don't think these frogs ever expected someone in close to max melee gear to be farming them, but here I am. The giant frog legs were the main thing I looted, however I did also pick up the nature and cosmic runes since they stacked in my inventory. Whenever I had a full inventory of the legs, I teleported and banked them, teleported back to Tears of Guthics, ran north, and repeated the process. Pretty simple. After 1 hour, I had collected 98 giant frogs legs and sold them instantly on the Grand Exchange for 427k. While this might not be the most profitable method we've ever done, it's a super unusual item with some weird uses that makes you almost 500k an hour. That's pretty much equal to the amount of money that Barrows makes you per hour these days. It's methods like these that gave me the idea to start this series, so I'll always have love for them. One thing I love about the wilderness is how you can make really good money, but there's always the looming threat of a PKer. I know some of you might think I'm crazy for saying that, but that's just what I love about the wilderness, risk versus reward. And one of the better unusual moneymakers that fits that definition is opening zombie pirate lockers. These lockers were added in 2024 inside this ship in level 14 wilderness on the eastern side of the wildy. To open them, you need a zombie pirate key, which can be purchased on the Grand Exchange or by killing zombie pirates at the Chaos Temple. The loot you receive from these lockers is pretty much the same as as killing the pirates, but the quantities are doubled. To add even more risk to this method, if you wear an Amulet of Avarice, which scalds you, all the loot you receive from the lockers becomes noted, which means that with an open looting bag, all the loot goes directly into the bag and you can stay here for a very long time. The lockers also drop an item called the Teleport Anchoring Scroll, which at the moment sells for around 675k. By far the most expensive drop from the lockers at a rate of 1 in 275. The buy limit of pirate keys is 250 every 4 hours, so I'm going to buy 250 of them and open all of them. Scald. All 250 at once too, no banking. All I've got to protect myself is some cheap tank gear and a big Dinny B shield, but that's all I need. I'm increasing my odds of survival a bit by opening the keys in a 2.2k total level world as well. The method of opening the keys is very simple. Stand in front of the locker, open it, wait to loot it, and repeat. The game tells you exactly what you get in your chat box and how many lockers you've opened. The average zombie key loot is around 18.5k, but if you get unlucky and don't get a teleport anchoring scroll, it's around 16.5k. Some drops make you really great money like a dragon scimitar and dragon longsword, and some lose you a lot like mind runes or any of the blighted supply drops. I was lucky enough to snag a teleport anchoring scroll with only 57 keys left at 214 chests open, so we got a bit lucky, which is great. I managed to survive opening all 250 keys without seeing a single PK. Mission success. It took almost 10 minutes on the dot to open 250 keys, which means you could theoretically open around 1500 keys per hour. After selling all the loot, we ended up with 4.346 million GP. The 250 keys cost us 3.5 million GP, which means in 10 minutes we made 846k. Without the scroll drop, we would have made around 175k. So for the full hour, you can expect to profit around 5 million GP off of 1500 zombie pirate keys, assuming you hit the drop rate of the teleport anchoring scroll. If you get unlucky and get no scrolls and 1500 keys, which is incredibly unlikely, you'd still be making over a million GP an hour. Just remember, it's the wilderness. Expect to die, but also expect to make some great GP. For any of you looking for an update on Gilnor Games Season 5, I just uploaded a video talking about it on my second channel. Link to that is in the description along with the link to our partner Geology for today's video. Make sure to check them out as well. If you have any unusual moneymakers you'd like me to try out, feel free to send them to me in the brand new Unusual Moneymakers channel in my Discord. Just click on this channel, create a new ticket, and submit your moneymaker. I'm excited to see what you guys send my way. Maybe you'll end up on the Unusual Moneymaking leaderboard. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.